And right now it's time for Rockin Company's Rockin' CU, brought to you by the family-owned and operated in Colorado, 5 decades, 2 generations, historic and modern masons, general contractors, build it with rock, build it with Rockin Company. We welcome the publisher of Buff Stampede, Adam Munsterteiger. Follow him at Twitter at AdamCM777. And happy gloomy spring football day, Adam.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I mean, what's made me realize I'm a true college football nerd is that I love spring practices and talking about it, so I'm excited to be on with you guys this morning.
Oh, great. We passed the halfway mark in spring practice. We've been through a full scrimmage, at least one. And of course, I've been living in a cave, ignoring our house guests and being rude because it's NCAA tournament time. But a lot going on with spring football. Let's get some report card stuff from you in terms of who's looked good, who's surprising, who's emerged, and where is the team at?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest changes we've seen are on the offensive side of the ball with Darren Chiaverini coming in. We touched on this briefly last week about when he came in from Texas Tech, and you knew from the time between signing day and the beginning of spring ball, it was going to be Darren Chiaverini and Brian Lindgren, the other co-offense coordinator, basically putting their heads together. And we didn't know quite how much Chiaverini's fingerprints were going to be on things in terms of kind of bringing the Texas Tech principles. And from what I understand, they are close practices, but just talking to a lot of people, it sounds like his impact has been profound. There's going to be big changes offensively. It's going to look a lot like Texas Tech's offense, and a big part of that is speeding up the tempo. In the past, they kind of picked their spots to do that. Now they're going to go fast all the time. As Philip Lindsay told me, if you're not going high tempo, you're going to be on the sidelines. That's Chiaverini's not messing around with that, and so there'll be an adjustment period there. Defensively, it's kind of the opposite.
Well, before we leave that subject, sure. Adam, is this kind of like a Peyton Manning hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage, look, read, take as much time as you want on the snap count?
Actually, no, I think it's going to be more of a pushing the pace and getting the snap out quickly. Now, obviously, there's going to be certain times when you're going to need to slow things down and see what the defense is giving you. But, yeah, it's not going to be a hurry up to the line, stop, and then survey things and maybe audible. There will be audibles, but I think it's going to be more of a bang, bang, bang type of mentality, trying to keep defenses on their heels. And I know one concern that Colorado fans have is, are they just going to abandon the running game? Well, that's kind of a misnomer if you've looked at Texas Tech, at least in recent years.
Right.
DeAndre Washington rushed for combined 2,600 yards in there the last 2 years. So they will definitely not abandon the running game. In terms of offensive guys that have stood out, and I knew going into spring that this was going to be a big spring for Bryce Bobo and Devin Ross, because if you looked at it, they signed 2 JUCO receivers, including Juwan Winfrey, one of the top junior college prospects in the country. And then they signed 3 prep receivers. So it was kind of a situation where Bryce Bobo, Devin Ross, now upperclassmen, had shown some things, but Bryce Bobo had struggled with consistency in practice, and Devin Ross had struggled with drops in games. And one of those guys, Devin Ross, has really stepped up. Darren Chiaverini, Devin Ross was the first player he mentioned when asked about guys that were standing out to him. Bryce Bobo, on the other hand, has been out with a hamstring injury, and I think that's going to kind of ruin his chances at a strong first impression with his new position coach, and he could be potentially on the outside looking in if he doesn't get healthy here quickly.
Before we leave the offense for the defense, let's do the scary part. What about the offensive line?
That is the scary part, yeah. And the one guy that's received the most praise is redshirt freshman Tim Lynott. He was Colorado's top-rated signee in 2015, a year ago. He's moved in from guard to center. And, again, a guy that's earned a lot of praise from the coaches. But that was a unit, the offensive line, that struggled in the first scrimmage. And Clayton Adams takes over that unit. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there with the new offensive line coach. I think in this offense, if you're getting the ball out quicker, it's going to help that O-line a little bit. But that is a unit that from last year definitely needs to take the biggest step forward and hasn't quite translated on the practice fields yet.
Hey, Adam, when we've seen teams go to this kind of offense, it's historically, going back to the Sam Bradford days at Oklahoma, it's historically hurt their defense. I mean, those Oklahoma teams with DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford were scoring 60 points a game, but they were giving up 30. Defensive coaches, if I'm Jim Leavitt, I don't like this. He's not going to say it publicly, but, I mean, if you're going 3 and out and having 30-second possessions, that puts a big strain on your defense. How's the defense going to handle this transition?
Yeah, that is going to be tough, and I think a lot of that will come down to needing a guy like Davis Webb, who's transferring in, to be consistent with the short, the intermediate throws, because you've got to, again, you've got to sustain those drives. And if you're going three and out, it's going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on your defense, and that's no question a concern there. I mean, the good thing is for Colorado's defense, unlike a year ago when they were really swimming with Jim Leavitt coming in and throwing everything at them, now it's basically fine-tuning. They came into the spring with their whole defense installed, and so there's at least kind of that factor. We've seen wherever Jim Leavitt's been, his defenses seem to get better year after year after year, and so there's still a lot of optimism on there. But that's a good point that you bring up, Mark, that this offense could potentially stunt some of the growth we've seen out of that defense if they're not able to sustain drives.
And let's sum up the offense saying that we've already heard Chiaverini, the new co-offensive coordinator, praise Steven Montez, the young quarterback, but qualify that praise saying, I'm really hope he doesn't have to play too soon. And on that, and I think we know what that means.
Yep.
On that note, let's go to the defense.
On defense, again, it's kind of fine-tuning things. You've seen some issues with their depth at inside linebacker. Addison Gillums being brought back slowly after really 2 seasons of being hampered by injuries. Kenneth Olobode, another one of their starting inside linebackers, missed the first half of spring ball due to a leg injury he suffered during winter conditioning. Ryan Severson, another inside linebacker that's got a lot of experience, missed some time with concussion. So Rick Gamboa was really the only healthy scholarship inside linebacker out there for every practice during the first half of spring ball. They're bringing in a junior college signee, Drew Lewis, and prep signee, Akil Jones, to kind of help bolster that depth at linebacker. But the Buffs clearly thought they needed more depth at inside linebacker because they went hard after a junior college All-American, Jordan Kunazik, and he took a trip out to Colorado, but just recently, a couple of days ago, actually committed to Cal. So that's one area that's you're kind of scared about the depth a little bit. Evan White getting kicked off the team in the secondary. At safety, you're a little bit worried about their depth there. Kyle Trego is going to be a junior college addition that's going to come in this summer. Defensive line looks really good. I think that's a unit that's going to potentially be one of the strengths of this football team, especially with Josh Tupou expected to come back this summer to man that nose tackle position. So that's kind of a general overview of the defense right now.
I want to make sure we get this in now. We may go back to spring football if we have another time, but in our last 2 minutes, the Colorado's in on some quarterbacks who are well thought of. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, they are. They've got actually 3 quarterbacks that are expected to come out to Boulder here in the coming weeks. One of the guys, Tyler Lytle, is somebody that is very highly regarded. It has some other options like Arizona State. Chase Garbers is coming out as well, another pro-style quarterback recruit that's a 3-star prospect. Chase Cord from Arizona is coming out. So basically those 3 guys, and obviously with quarterback, you're just hoping to land one of those guys. And usually quarterbacks are the first to really make a decision because most schools only take one. So between those 3 guys all coming out to Colorado here in the next month, if they can get one of those to pop, that would be a nice boost to this recruiting class.
BuffStampede.com. Must reading. Everybody should subscribe to what Adam and his staff do. A lot of recruiting, a lot of spring football right now. Great reading. Can't be without it. No matter where I've been around Colorado, I've been reading BuffStampede.com.
Or in the jungle or wherever, Bermuda Triangle, wherever you're at.
Wherever I'm at, including on my last ski vacation a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, Adam, I sat next to Andrew Murawa, who's a blogger for RushTheCourt.net in Southern California. He echoed your comments from last week about Bryce Peters having a big senior year and maybe being a solution at guard for the Colorado Buffs, even as a true freshman next year.
Yeah, go on BuffStampede.com right now on the front page. I actually caught up with Bryce Peters a few days ago to talk to him about really a stellar senior season he had there at Damien High School. He set a bunch of school records, and again, one of the better-looking signees that Colorado's had in a long time. It's sometimes hard until they get on campus to kind of know, but one thing I heard time and time again was that Bryce Peters is a ultra-competitive player, and that's what you want to hear. And a guy
Adam, we got to go.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Adam Munsterteiger, BuffStampede.com. Rockin Companies, Rockin. See you. Family, modern and general masons and general contractors, build it with rock.